In this video, I'm going to be sharing my favorite authors and where you should start with them, like book-wise, and I'm also going to share the books that I've read by them and why I love them. So if you're looking for new books to read or new like auto-buy authors to find, make sure you subscribe because there's new videos every single day, well, all of October at least. And then in November, we'll go back to 3 videos every single week. So yeah, let's get into these books that I love from my favorite authors. These authors are in no particular order, but we are going to be starting with Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I've read 4 of her books. She is such an incredible writer. Like, she does such a great job of just sharing like what it's like to be a woman and how we navigate the world. And I think that she does a great job of like building her characters in a way where you're gonna actually love all of the characters in the books and not just be obsessed with like the main character. So you've probably seen a lot of people who have read Daisy Jones and the Six, Malibu Rising, 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Taylor Jenkins Reid's One True Loves, and Carrie Soto is Back. And now that I'm looking at this, I'm realizing this is literally 5 books. I don't remember if I said 4 or 5. My favorite out of all of these was Carrie Soto is Back, I think because it's such a unique take on women in sports. And if you're very competitive, you will really like this book. But the book that I would recommend for you to read from her first is Daisy Jones and the Six. And for this reason, I recommend this one because so many people have read it, and it's nice to read books that like other people are talking about, and this is actually a show, so you can get even more invested into the characters. And I think the biggest reason why I recommend this book is it's pretty much straight dialogue because it's written in a way where the characters feel so real because the author is writing as if they're being interviewed. And so all of this is dialogue. Like literally it says, Camilla, Billy, Graham. Like it's literally written like almost a script. And so it feels like these characters are real. Like after I finished this book, I literally had to look it up and see like, you know, is this band like a real band? I will say, I think that you have to go into these books recognizing that this is fiction. It is not like romance. There is a subplot of romance in all of her books, but this is definitely fiction. I will say that One True Loves was like a romance, but even still, her books to me just write like fiction. And I do enjoy fiction if there's like a heavy subplot of romance, which there definitely is. So if you've never read anything from Taylor Jenkins Reid, read Daisy Jones and the Six first. But if you really like sports or you're really competitive, this is also a good one too. I rated this one 4.5 stars. I rated this one 4.5 stars. And then I read both of these books before I actually got a good read, so I don't even remember what I would have rated these, but I remember rating this one fairly high. This one was pretty average to me. And then Malibu Rising, I think I rated like a 3. It wasn't my favorite just because it's set over like one day. But these are all 5 books that I've read from this author. Love Taylor Jenkins Reid so much. Another one of my favorite authors is Jasmine Guillory, and she has written 3 books that I've read, and I own so many books from all of these authors because these are literally auto-buy authors for me. I read Buy the Book first, and I actually got this as like a PR thing that came in from Disney Books, and I'm like, oh, it looks cute. Fell in love with her writing. Now, when you go into her books, you have to know that these books are happy, fluffy, fairly easy to read. They give Hallmark vibes to me. This is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and then The Wedding Date is a book that's very, very popular. So many people have read this one. And then Jasmine Guillory's Drunk on Love is like her most recent book that came out. Love all of these, and I own so many more books that are on my TBR from this author, but I think the one that I would recommend to you if you're just planning on reading one is Buy the Book by Jasmine Guillory. This book is super happy, super fluffy, and the reason I recommend this one is because The Wedding Date is kind of like a series. Like there's other books that are interconnected to this book, so sometimes starting a new book that has other books linked to it can be kind of daunting. So to see if you like her writing, start with this one. It's happy, it's fluffy, it's fun, it's easy, it gives Hallmark, and I feel like it is just going to be really enjoyable for you. Drunk on Love was a good one, but I'd say that Buy the Book was probably my favorite, and I also liked The Wedding Date a lot, and I think because so many more people that I know have read this one, it was nice to be able to talk about it with people. Love Jasmine Guillory's books, and I think that this was actually one of the first Black authors that I like really became obsessed with, and she really got me into reading books by Black authors, which I love. The next author that I absolutely love is Emily Henry, and you probably heard so many people talk about Emily Henry's books. I don't normally recommend Emily Henry's books to new readers, and I also don't recommend Taylor Jenkins Reid's books to new readers because I think that Emily Henry and Taylor Jenkins Reid's books both read more like fiction, but they do have a like heavy subplot of romance, even though they do like sit in the romance category in the bookstore. I do think that Taylor Jenkins Reid's books sit in the fiction category, but Emily Henry's books are in the romance category in the bookstore, and I feel like they're almost more like fiction. But I have read Happy Place, which I absolutely loved, read Beach Read, and I also read Book Lovers. And if I were to tell someone to start a book from Emily Henry's like little stack, I would definitely say Beach Read. I think that this one has a heavier like plot of romance, and it really drives the story more than the other books. The other books, they have like more, I don't know, a lot of themes about friendship and family, finding yourself and loving who you are, and like learning to just be okay with like how life is going, even if it's not going the best. So I just love her writing. I think my favorite thing about her writing is the banter is just unmatched. Like, she makes characters talk to each other in a way that just feels so realistic, and I really enjoy that. I rated this 4.5 stars. I think I rated this one like 3 stars, and then I rated this one, well actually I didn't actually give this a rating because I read it before I had a Goodreads. I only got a Goodreads like this year, but I would definitely say read this one. I feel like this one is a book that most people were obsessed with. I remember being obsessed with it, and I kind of want to read it again just to see my thoughts. But she also has a new book coming out next year, and these are all like standalones, which is really nice, so you don't have to feel like you have to read them all. Her writing is just really good. Another author I love is Christina Forest, and this author gives happy fluffy to the max, like the absolute max. So I read The Neighbor Favor first by Christina Forest. It's my first book by this author. Really enjoyed it, but I didn't realize that this was her first like adult book, but most of her books are usually written for like a YA like age group, or either like maybe, I don't know, just like the happy fluffy vibes. Like if you like Lynn Painter's books, if you like Sarah Adams' books, you'll really like her books as well. I read Reggie and Delilah's You're Falling, and I rated this, I'm pretty sure, like 4.5 stars or 4 stars, something like in that range. I also read I Want to Be Where You Are, and I rated this 4 stars. I actually think I did rate this 4.5 stars. I can't remember, but very happy and fluffy, super enjoyable, and I love finding Black authors who just find like the joy in life and capture it and place it into a book, and it's just like easy and happy and fluffy and fun to read. I will say this one read a little bit more like middle grade than it did for like YA, but this one hit. I love this one so much. I really like The Neighbor Favor as well. I do wish that there had been a little bit more dialogue, but overall, her books just hit. She's an auto-buy author for me. So I'm realizing I just forgot to tell you guys like what book to start with Christina Forest books, and I would say start with Reggie and Delilah's You're Falling. But now getting into a thriller author that I am obsessed with, Freida McFadden, I think is probably my favorite thriller author. Now, I read The Housemaid, loved it, and I was like, this is good. Everyone is like hyping up Freida McFadden. I really enjoyed her writing. Let me read something else from this author. I read Never Lie, and I'm never going back. Like when I think of reading a popcorn thriller, I immediately think of Freida McFadden's books because they just like are so quick. And I actually found out that Freida McFadden is a person who works with people that have like brain injuries, like just different things that they have to kind of like work through. And so she writes books so that her like clients or her patients can like read these and digest them quickly, because like with their injuries, they like need things that are gonna be like quick, to the point, and fast. And I think that's like the coolest thing ever. Like she's using her other career to like, I don't know, support another career, but this career is also helping another career. So I just think it's really neat. Her books are so fast-paced, like you will not want to put them down. I remember like being in the car one time and I was driving, and I wanted to see like what happened in this book so badly that I literally, I kid you not, I pulled over to read the rest of this book. Like not the whole thing, but like a large part of it. Her books are so good. I have so many on my bookshelf. I'm trying to like hold off and not read them all because I want to be able to recommend lots of different like authors to you guys and like different books, but her books like eat, and I just know that I am just gonna gobble them up. Y'all know that this author is one author that I talk about so freaking much. Like, I think in every video, like almost every video, I'm probably recommending something from this author. Kennedy Ryan is one of my absolute favorite authors ever. The reason I love her books, okay, let's just talk about it. The reason I love her books is because she makes you feel something that is like, I can't even explain it. Like, you will cry from her books, like, and not even in a way that's like she is gonna pull on your heartstrings. Like, people who've read like Archer's Voice, or who've just read books that are like so deep and like, I don't know, they're romance books, of course, but they're not like the happy fluffy kind. Like, they're the kind that just like rip your heart out and put your heart back together by the end. These are her books. Now, I read Before I Let Go, which was my first book by her. Loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. And you guys know I have very few 5-star ratings. Let me know if you guys want to see like a 5-star rating video. I'm actually thinking about doing that maybe at the end of the year. I also read Flow by Kennedy Ryan, and I read Real by Kennedy Ryan. Now, this is a thick one, and you guys know how I feel about thick books. Like, sometimes I feel like authors just make books to be thick for, I don't know, just for giggles. Like, I don't know, they maybe can't wrap it up at the end. I don't know what it is, but sometimes they just make books to be long to be long. This was not that at all. I wanted this book to continue. This was 4 out of 5 stars for me. This was 4 out of 5 stars for me, and this is actually in a series, and then this was 5 out of 5 stars. Now, if I were to recommend one book to someone who has never read her writing, I would recommend this if you're not new to reading. And the reason I say that is because this book is like, it's deep. It is deep, it's heavy, it will break you. Like, it's heavy. But I think if you're new to reading, a lot of the time you need books that are gonna be like, I don't know, you might need something that is a little bit more like short, you know what I mean? And this book is 400 pages, which I don't think is bad, but I think if you're new to reading, like, sometimes anything over 300 pages can be a little bit much, and this is like 390. I would recommend this if you're new to reading, because this book is only 114 pages, and it kind of leaves a little bit on a cliffhanger, and there's 2 other books after this that are thick, but they are like, I don't know. I feel like this will get you into her writing. So if you're new to reading, read this one. If you're like a pretty skilled reader, you've read a ton of books, you know, love reading, then I'd say read Before I Let Go. Natasha Bishop is a new author for me. I have read only For the Week by this author this year, and I love her writing. It is so freaking good. I eat it up, and I think it's because she has so much dialogue. Like, it's very dialogue heavy, but the plot feels like it moves at a good pace. And I also feel like sometimes authors don't know how to create dialogue because in their books, because they want you to understand like what the character is thinking. So they'll maybe put a little bit of dialogue, and then they'll put like a paragraph that says, you know, I felt this way, or I thought this, or I whatever. And like, then you end up having a large part of the book being like less dialogue. Natasha Bishop does not do that. She gives you dialogue after dialogue after dialogue, crazy fun scene after crazy fun scene. It is so good. Every single book that I've read from her, granted I've only read 2. Where We Found Our Passion by Natasha Bishop is actually in a series, and I read the 3rd one because someone on TikTok said it was good. Then I ended up going back and like buying the rest of the series, because I'm like, why did you do this to me? Like, why did you make me read the 3rd one? Like, the other 2 are probably just as good, so I plan on reading those as well. But Only for the Week by this author was also so good, and I would say if I want to pick one book to recommend, it would probably be Only for the Week, because this book is only 218 pages and you will eat it up so fast. There's like text messages in it, and there's tons and tons of dialogue. There's a crazy sister who is like so mean. The plot line of this story is so unique, and I just feel like a lot of people would like it. It's about a wedding that's in Tulum, and her sister is like getting married to her ex-boyfriend. Now, she's like kind of over her relationship with her ex. She's like, whatever, but still she just kind of feels like fine that her sister's getting married, but she's also kind of like, this is awkward and weird. So you go through all that, but then she starts to kind of fall for her ex-boyfriend's best friend, and she doesn't want to like say anything. She's like, I don't want to make drama. I don't want them to think that I'm trying to make the ex jealous. It is so good, and her sister is literally terrible. Like, these books were so good, and this is definitely an auto by author for me. I feel like she's an author not many people know about. read this book. It's 218 pages. Like, you can finish that in like literally a day or two. And then I picked up Where We Found Our Passion, and I also picked up the rest of the series immediately because her writing is that good. I'm missing the first book in this series because my friend is actually borrowing it. She is reading Magnolia Parks at the moment, but I will read anything from Jess Hastings. I will read her I don't know, grocery list. Like, anything that she puts out, I am reading it, I am buying it. And that's kind of why I want to share a video like this, because all these authors are auto-buy authors to me. Like, if they come out with a new book, I'm buying it. And I think the reason why I want to read everything that Jess Hastings writes is because her writing feels so real. I'm getting heart palpitations just thinking about her books. Like, her characters feel real, the world feels real. Like, I feel like if I went to London, then I could meet the box set, which is like the group in this book. I feel like I could meet Daisy Hates, I could meet Magnolia Parks. This book is thick, I will say that. So if I were to recommend that someone would read one book, obviously I would say read the first book in the series, which is Magnolia Parks, but give yourself time. Like, don't feel like you have to rush through it, and also give yourself time to like love it, because I feel like when I first started it, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. I just don't know. I don't know, because one, it's a toxic, like, it's not, okay, I take it back. So the author has said, like, this book is not toxic, and I agree. It's not toxic, it's realistic. Like, you are getting flawed characters, flawed people, flawed men, flawed women, flawed friendships, flawed families, and you're getting all of that, which is a little bit toxic, but like, aren't we all a little toxic? Like, we aren't perfect, we're human. And she encapsulates that so well in her books. She has a really unique style of writing, which is why I think it took me a while to get into it, because you're gonna be used to reading other types of books that don't have the same type of writing, so it's weird to kind of pick up on it. Her writing is written almost as if the characters are talking to you. So like Magnolia, she might be saying in the book, you know, I'm getting ready to go over to this store that I love, you know, that store that's on like 49th Street. Well, like, obviously we don't know the store. We're not in the book. Like, we've never read the book. We don't know the characters, but she talks to you as if you're like a friend. And so it makes the book feel so freaking real. And I cannot wait for the next book in the series to come out next year. The last auto-buy author for me, but I'm also gonna share some books like that I have loved so much that I think if I read more books by those authors, they would also be auto-buy potentially. But the last auto-buy author for me is Abby Jimenez, and this is Part of Your World, and this is yours truly. This is in a series, but I immediately bought the rest of like the other books in her series, the Friend Zone series, after I read these, because I rated both of these 4.5 stars, and like, her books just feel so fun. I finished both of these, I think, in like 24 hours. They were just so enjoyable, and they have like I don't know, there's like a conflict in it, but it feels very realistic, which I also enjoyed. But it was fun, it was fluffy, it was happy, but it also had some heavier moments, but nothing too crazy. I loved her books, I loved her writing. And I think other authors that I would probably say that I also love are Danielle Allen. I loved reading Continuum, and I definitely want to read more from that author. She has a book called Insta-Love, but it doesn't have, it's on Kindle Unlimited, but there isn't a physical copy. And I don't know what it is about that, but like, I love having a physical copy just in case like I get them in the mood to read a physical book, because I've been loving my Kindle and I use it so much. But sometimes I get in the mood to read my Kindle, and then sometimes I get in the mood to read my book, and I worry, like, what if I get something that's only on Kindle and then I'm in the mood to read a physical book and I don't have it? Because all of the books that I have for the most part are on Kindle, or I could like buy it on there. So yeah, I'm planning on reading that one next. I've heard it's really good, but I love reading Continuum. There was so much dialogue in that book. And I'll also link these books below, even the ones that I'm like not sharing. I also love Fast by Millie Belazar. That was like her debut book. Absolutely hit a home run with that book. I rated that 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was heavy. It was hard, it was heavy, and it was so heavy that at times I had to put the book down. But it was one of those books that was beautiful because it was a friends to lovers story, and they met when they were kids, they went through a lot together. So I think that that could definitely be a potential like auto-buy author for me. And there's also a ton more, but let me know if you guys want me to have like a part 2 to this video, and maybe show like books that I've read like if I've read one book by an author, maybe only two, and I can show you like if I think they're gonna be an auto-buy author for me. Just let me know if you want a part two. So that is all of my auto-buy authors and the books that you should start with them when you read their books. I actually don't even think that I said which book you should start with Abby Jimenez, but I would say Part of Your World because it's like part of a series. It's like a, one is a, like, they're not like direct books that you have to read like the other book, but I would say that it would make the experience probably better because that's how I did it and I loved it. But let me know if you guys want a part two of this. If you want to get into more authors you've never heard of before, these are great ones to start with, and these are great books to start with for the reasons that I shared. And I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next one. Bye guys.